we have a couple of youth standing up here, and are there any children here? A couple of children? I see some children, not you, sir. You don't count. Yes, we see you, we love you, we hear you. That's what we always say to you, remember that? Well, these two people up here are big people, and they once were children in our church school. They grew up, and now they're in our youth group. Our youth group are the biggest children in the church. And when you get to be like these guys up here, you get to go on special trips. We call them service learning trips. Some churches call them mission trips, but our version of mission is not to go change somebody else's mind, but rather to change our minds and to learn. And so these two of 20, you had 20 youth go. You went to Arizona, right? A state nearby in the desert, and you went all the way to the border with Mexico to learn something. What did you learn? Why were you there? What did you go down there for?
Well,
and you should tell us your name too.
Oh, my name is Van.
And my name is Ella.
I guess I'm first. Well, what we learned was just kind of the reality of the situation at the border. To rephrase that, we got to see what was going on at the border of Mexico and the United States. What was happening for migrants, for the children, people who are coming into the United States seeking shelter or safety for some reason because their home countries can no longer shelter them, cannot provide what they need.
And during this week, we did some physical work, some service. So we went into the desert on one morning.
And we have some slides to kind of orient people.
Yes, so we went to the desert one morning and we left water at water drop sites for migrants. And another day we did some work at a community crop.
So, because people are walking hundreds, 1,000 miles maybe, and they're coming, and sometimes they get to the desert, and the desert's really cold, right? And there's a lot of water in the desert.
No,
it's really hot, and there's no water. And so this is a picture of you guys. You went out and actually left water for people who were coming across. Why would you do that?
we leave water because the desert is a very dry place. Kids, if you think Texas is hot and dry, Arizona and Tucson is a completely different story. Our desert walk gave us a completely different perspective. For us, by the end of it, breathing the air hurt. Like, it was hot, we were in pain, and thinking about what these people had to go through for days, for weeks, it really put it into perspective.
And so whether or not they had their passports or not, it didn't matter. You said, these are people, these are human beings, they're gonna suffer out there, so we're gonna give them water. And then you also visited the border wall. That's not really a wall.
It really is a wall.
It really is a wall?
It really is a wall. Yeah, so we went down to the border. We went to Nogales, which is a city that's been split right in half. On one side is America, and on the other side is Sonora, Mexico. And when we went down there, we found that the city looks exactly the same on both sides. There's nothing different about the people on the other side of the wall than the people on the side that we could talk to and see living their lives. And that was a good experience for us because as Unitarian Universalists, we learn a lot about the inherent dignity and worth of all people. And we went there and we were prepared to see it in all people, and we did, no matter where they came from or what they were doing.
And that was my other question. As a Unitarian, we're in this church. What difference does a trip like that make to you as a person of faith?
The difference that it makes for me as a person of faith is, well, it further instills my values. to make it easier on the kids, I'm going to reference the eyes that see, hearts that love, and hands that are ready to serve. We saw things that were very shocking and really touched our hearts. And with that, it really struck our compassion, and it made us want to further serve these people and do everything we could to help. And it made us not want to stand by and be complicit any longer.
And so is there a next step besides you guys getting me one of those nice orange shirts with those chalice on it?
Yes, although I don't think we can get you those shirts.
Okay.
You might have to.
I might have to go. Maybe we'll take an adult trip and we'll go.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
But yeah, so we had an afternoon on one of the last days of the trip where the people who were leading the program we were doing had us do some action planning. So we were asked, now that we know what we know, we've watched the documentaries and we've gone to the court and we've seen what they were there to show us, what are we going to do about it? And so some of the ideas we came up with include the church. We want to do fundraising at the church. We want to spread education and awareness individually and as a group of, clearly there were 20 of us. And we want to continue to think about and put what we learned and what we did into action and raise money and awareness for the groups that are doing good at the border.
There's also resources that we were given that we can share, such as like Know Your Rights training, also in immigration simulation, as well as, oh gosh, it's blanking me. There was another thing. Resources to lawyers, and also like representing yourself, because many of the migrants do not have access to lawyers, but they teach them the basics so they can be able to represent themselves in court.
Okay. Well, thanks, Ella and Van, and thank you for the youth for going on this great service learning trip. When these children grow up, maybe they'll be doing similar things, and you'll be my age. Not quite, but yes. Thanks so much. How about
Thank you?